Welcome to Yoga Biz Studio, a bi-weekly broadcast of 10 to 30 minutes in length, hosted by me, Keeley, the owner of Z Living, and my colleague,
Carla Wilson, owner of Wilson Media Services.
On each episode, we share business, legal, and marketing insights for yoga studio owners and independent yoga teachers. We use Google Plus Hangouts on air to produce our show, so you can watch via Google, YouTube, or our website at yogabizstudio.com. If you're watching our show on YouTube, please click on the yellow graphic at the bottom of the viewer. This will allow you to access our event page to ask questions or comments on today's show. And we always welcome comments and questions, and it gives us ideas for each episode. So please, if you've been commenting and you've been asking questions, keep at it. If you haven't so far, we welcome new. So on today's topic is year-end business tips. I can't even believe I'm saying year-end because it just feels like it was January 2014, like 2 seconds ago. So
right,
we are closing in, and 2015 will be here in a few weeks. So Carla and I will focus today on marketing, legal, business, and organizing steps that help you ring in a new year smoothly, so your business doesn't have any bumps. It just comes into the new year and it'll keep running smoothly. We have a wealth of information to share, so get ready to take lots of notes. And since we're starting with marketing, I'm going to hand it off to our resident marketing guru, Carla.
Excellent. Thanks, Keeley. What a great introduction. We're gonna jump right into some hardcore, like, great business tips for you today. That I'm gonna say it right now. This is typically a slower time of year. As crazy busy as we feel personally, typically businesses will slow down this time of year because people are so focused on their holiday plans and parties and get-togethers. And that means business slows down a little bit. So I want to encourage you to take this time to follow some of these business tips and get yourself set up for a brand new year. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, of course, is marketing for the new year. And no surprise, I'm going to ask you to pull out a 2015 calendar and look at the year at a glance. We've mentioned this a couple times throughout the year when we were talking about creating an editorial calendar. But I think with the at a glance calendars, it allows you to see the whole year kind of from a step back, and it doesn't feel as intimidating, and it's much easier for you to decide how often you're going to send out your newsletter. So make that decision, write it on the calendar. Decide on some kind of plan for creating audio and video. Yes, surprise, I'm telling you to do audio and video for 2015. So make a decision. Maybe you're going to do one audio a quarter, or one video a quarter, or once a month, but whatever you decide it is, write it on the calendar. Once you write something down, you really are more likely to make it happen, because I honestly think it puts an indelible mark in your brain, number one. But two, if a business colleague comes to your office and sees it written on your calendar, they too might be able to help you be accountable to that goal that you've kind of set for yourself. So I mentioned this to Keeley, that this will be a little, my next suggestion will be a little self-serving, but I really encourage you to consider using more audio in your marketing efforts next year. With the popularity of podcasts this year, I'm not sure if our viewers have been listening to the Serial podcast that is produced by This American Life. Today's the last episode of season 1. We're very sad. But what I found is that podcasting popularity has really increased due to podcasts like Serial and podcasts like This American Life. And if you go on iTunes, you can see there are podcasts for nearly every subject. So I would really love for our yoga business and wellness business viewers to get a piece of that pie. We would really love to find your content on iTunes as well. So consider that. Audio tends to be less intimidating for people to produce, and it is a little less technical to produce than a video. So that's why I think audio might be the way to go for you if you are kind of venturing into this digital media realm for the new year.
All right. Great advice, Carla. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. And it's like, it's hounding into me, podcast. So I'm gonna get on it. I take Z Talks to podcast, and so I'm
there
on
you
it.
Go.
So, as always, I'm the Debbie Downer because I bring up the legal stuff. So I'm going to talk about legal preparation. And really, you shouldn't stress. I don't want anyone in cold sweats. Legal preparation is really making sure your business foundation is in order and strong. Remember, your foundation. If your foundation is weak, then your business will not be strong. So I generally equate it to like a skyscraper or a building. If the foundation is bad, you can only go so long before the whole building crumbles down. So that's what I equate people with their business. So that's why I want to focus on legal preparation and getting that a strong foundation. So there are 7 tips I want to give you for 2015. We'll at least get you ready for 2015. The first is begin reviewing legal documents such as leases, vendor and supplier contracts, employee contracts, whatever, you name it. If it's a contract, review it. Often these contracts have the dates and deadlines in them that you need to be aware of. For example, your lease may expire in the upcoming year and you need to renew. Or if you don't want to renew, you want to terminate. Maybe in your vendor lease, at the end of the year, rates change and you need to factor that into your budget. So just pull out some of these leases, take a look at them, and make sure you're up to date on any key dates that will be taking place. My second tip is make sure your legal documents are kept in a safe place. Your lease, your purchase agreements, insurance papers, vendor contracts, and employee contracts are some of the most important documents that help your business run, and you're going to want to keep them in a safe spot. You can keep these documents in a physical file, but we've 2014 going to 2015, we are a digital age, so consider like ditching the hard copies and then uploading them into the cloud or wherever you want to put them. But that way it will conserve space. Now, with certain things like leases, I definitely would think keep a hard copy somewhere. But as long as it's digital, you're able to access it very easily. And it'll probably make it easier to review the documents at each year end, like I told you to do in step 1, if you have them digital. You won't have to actually dig them out to look at them. Tip number 3, review all your insurance policies and make sure you still have ample coverage. Did you hire additional employees? Did you add new services? Did you change locations? Make sure that your business has ample insurance to protect you. Tip number 4, make sure your employees and your certifications are current and note expiration dates on your calendar to allow ample time for renewals of certifications. I would say on your calendar, tag it maybe about 2 months out before the certification expires, so that way it gives you some time to get the renewals taken care of. This is very important because customers can sue for misrepresentation if they are harmed and it is determined that on that date you did not have your proper certifications in place. So that is something you don't want to ignore. Make sure everyone's certifications are up to date. Tip number 5, make sure you have all proper licenses and permits to operate the services you provide. For example, if you added acupuncture to your list of services this year, make sure you have the proper license to actually operate these services out of your establishment. In addition, make sure the acupuncturist, if it isn't you or if it is you, make sure they're certified and they are properly licensed as well. All of these things can come back to haunt you if you ignore it. Granted, this should be done when you add any service, but I understand in the hustle and bustle of the year, you might forget. So this is a perfect time to just, dot your I's, cross your T's, make sure everything's in order. Tip number 6 is take stock of your business affairs. And what I mean by this is have you formed your legal entity for your business? Many of my clients have, when they finally get to me, are like, oh my God, I've been trying to do this for like 3 or 4 years. So maybe this is a year that things slow down for you, you catch your breath, and you make sure that you register your business. It does not take that long. Make sure if you've been thinking about trademarking your name or your logo, this is the perfect time to take care of the paperwork and get that submitted as well. If you play music when you teach, this is tip number 7. Please make sure you have the proper music licenses from ASCAP or BMI to play this music. This is a huge thing going on in the yoga community. Many of you are being contacted by these companies saying that you owe licensing fees. Don't ignore them. Please take the time to see what your situation is and see if you actually need to be paying these fees. I know it can be intimidating, but the feedback is most of the representatives that are out there contacting studios and yoga instructors are very nice. They're working with people to figure out what is the best plan for them. So, don't get intimidated. If you do have questions, you can always contact Carla and me, and we can help you out on that end. So that is it. Those are the legal preparations I have. See, not too stressful or overwhelming. And it's really just doing a double check, making sure all your affairs are in order. And so when you do that, you need to organize. So I'm going to kick it back to Carla because she has some great ideas for getting yourself organized. You can follow all of these tips, but if you're not organized, then you're still going to fall short.
Exactly, Keeley. Thanks again for those legal tips and suggestions. As I kind of joked when you and I first started producing our podcast, you would come up with a legal topic and I would go, but I'm no longer intimidated. You provide some really important suggestions for folks. So thank you for sharing those suggestions on the legal side of businesses. But as you said, we've already mentioned this is kind of a slower time of year. It's time to take advantage of that and really organize your life. Organize your studio, organize your life. This is really, these are some tips that I suggest. And the first is to start with your desk. And when I say clean your desk, I mean take everything off your desk. Take it off your desk and clean, dust, wipe it down. Really start with literally, figuratively, a clean slate. Put the items back on your desk one at a time and, take stock. Is it something that could be stored somewhere else? Maybe you have a container that was holding, all these markers on your desk, but now you don't use the markers, so do they have to sit on your desk? Maybe they could just go in your closet. Something as simple as that is going to open up your desk space. And actually, we are all about the flow of energy here, and the more space you create, the more that allows good stuff to come into your life. So start with a really good desk cleaning. I highly suggest it. I always feel a lot more productive when I have a cleared and clean desk. So that's my first tip. My second tip is to go through your paper files. Keeley kind of alluded to this as well. Go through your paper files and see if there are files that could be scanned and stored in the cloud, stored electronically, and again, to create more space. If you can, do away with as much paper, awesome. If you're storing things electronically, it's going to be much easier for you to search by keyword than it is for you to go through 20 file folders looking for a document. So go through any kind of paper files that you have, but also, go through your electronic files. Go through Google Drive. Go through your Dropbox account. Go through your old emails. Clear out stuff you don't need. This is the time of year to take care of that. My third tip is to organize your studio. Kind of the same way I suggested that you clear off your desk, you clear off your office area, clear your studio. Take one area of your studio, pull everything away from the wall, pull all the mats off the shelf, dust it out. Really make sure that you are creating a clean space for your clients who are coming into the studio. And just work around the studio, maybe, start with one corner, get that all cleared and cleaned, and then move on to another corner. Just start with one section at a time so it's not too intimidating for you. And actually it'll allow you to that'll give you time to do things kind of in between classes as well. If you're not doing the whole studio at once, just do one corner at a time. And you know, again, it's creating a great space for your clients, and it'll also make you feel more productive in your work. So, you know, cleaning for me is not only a physical change. I really find it to be very mentally calming. I'm one of those kind of maybe crazy people who likes to clean things. But definitely, again, this is the time of year to really work on that when it's kind of a slower business time.
Great advice, Carla. It's so true. It's like when you clean your actual space, it's like mentally cleaning too. But, you know, I don't enjoy cleaning. Maybe when the kids are out of the house, I won't be so, you know, have an aversion to cleaning. But it does, when I get around to it, it is very nice. It's psychologically, it does a lot of positive. All right, so the next thing I want you guys to think about is numbers. And so while I'm not a huge numbers person, many of you know me that I get woozy when I talk numbers. It is still an important aspect of business, so I always say face your fears. That's one of them. So we cannot ignore the numbers. And I want to give 4 tips for keeping sane when it comes to the financial side of your business. Tip number 1, do projections for the upcoming year. I actually did this year, and I am so excited that I actually did it. But sit down, what offerings will you provide, and how much will you charge? You know, are you raising rates? Are you keeping them the same, or do you actually maybe need to drop them? Try and get a general idea of how much revenue that you expect to bring in 2015. You know, I do suggest remaining conservative. That's just the position I come from. I rather underestimate than overestimate, but that's just me. So just kind of getting an idea of like what the numbers are going to look like next year. Tip number 2, once you've done your projections, now you can do a budget for the upcoming year. I hate doing this, but it is extremely helpful. I hate a budget. I swear in a past life, like I was like this princess that had unlimited funds, because I hate having a budget, but it's a reality. And it doesn't have to be written in stone. Like, you know, once you do your budget, it doesn't mean you're committed to it, but at least it's a guideline of where you're going to see your money coming in. It's like a loose framework for you to work off of, and so you're not in the dark. So as much as I hate them, they are helpful. Tip number 3, if you're offering a new service or product, consider doing a mini business plan specific for that service or product. You know, you might say it's similar to something else, but each service, each product is very unique within itself. So at least kind of going through the mini business plan, it'll get your wheels turning about, you know, little things that you need to think about that are specific to that service. So it's very important to do this, and knowing how you will achieve your goal and bringing it into fruition will move you that much closer to achieving success. And then lastly, tip number 4, make sure you're getting the best price and or rate. You know, previously I advised you review insurance policies to make sure you have proper coverage, but now make sure you're getting the best rate. Do a quick market search to make sure you're not paying too much. If your lease is almost up, look at the market and determine whether it is better to renew your lease or look for a new location. You can perform this task on any of your expenses that are generally governed by contract. You know, just sometimes making a simple review and can help you save like many dollars. And who doesn't want to save money? I know I do.
Exactly. Thanks, Keeley. I'm standing here trying to count how many tips we just gave all of our yoga business owners for this time of year. So I'm going to have to count them up when I write the blog post. This is, you know, I think really helpful information for everybody. So on our next episode, which will be in the new year 2015 on Thursday, January 8th, we will discuss New Year, new intentions. So if you have any show ideas, we would love to hear from you. Feel free to message us with show ideas or questions at our email address, which is yogabizstudio@gmail.com. Or you can find us at find more information at our website, yogabizstudio.com, or on the social media networks of Google+, Facebook, and Twitter at Yoga Biz Studio.
Thanks, Carla, and thank you, our audience, for joining us today. Our Yoga Biz Studio show is brought to you bi-weekly by me, Keeley Mitchell of Z Living, and Carla Wilson of Wilson Media Services. This is our last episode for 2014, so we can't wait to see you in 2015. And I want to wish everyone happy holidays, and until our next episode, namaste.
Namaste.